Okay, before I start today's Project Arcade latest release of 1.6.0 stable, if you like what you see today, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss out on upcoming retro emulation content here on my channel, just Jamie. That means you'll get notified every time I release a new setup guide, and it really helps out my channel, and I thank you very much for that. So we're looking at Project Arcades today. So for those familiar with my content on my channel, I upload a lot of different front ends. Now, I'll be honest with you, Project Arcades just cropped up today and it looks very good. So it's based on Emulationstation, and I think for fans of Emulationstation Desktop Edition and RetroBat, I think you're really going to like this. So what we're going to do first of all is actually take you to the website. So this is the official Project Arcade website. Now what we're going to do is just download it. Now this can be a little bit of a maze finding the download link for this. So we can go to download Project Arcade here, and then we're going to just scroll down, and we're going to scroll down until we get to Project Arcade 1.6.0. Now I've already downloaded this and it weighs in it just over 1.6 gigabyte. We've also got beta free, but I'm going to stick with the stable version. Betas mean that they're not thoroughly working and there could be some errors, so just download the stable release of this. Once you've downloaded this, you'll download a Project Arcade setup.executable. So what we're going to do first of all is just create a little folder on our desktop. So right click, new folder, and I'm going to call this folder Project Arcade. You can literally call this whatever you want. We're going to open up and install Project Arcade. Okay, so the first thing we obviously need to do is select a language. So in my case, it's going to be in English. If we go to OK, and we're going to press next, and let's just read through the terms and conditions if you want to, that is. I'm going to just go to I accept the agreement, go to next, and it's also going to tell you that it needs to install some additional things, some additional software, which it's going to do automatically for you. So I'm going to go to next. Now this is a part where we can install Project Arcade to wherever we want, so this is why I've made a separate folder for this to go into. Otherwise, if you leave this to default, it's going to go to your C drive, and in your C drive it's going to create a folder called Project Arcade. So what I'm going to do is actually direct this into my desktop Project Arcade folder. So I'm going to go to Browse and C drive, and if I just scroll down to find users, and I'm going to go into my system folder, which is called Jamie, onto my desktop, and I'm going to then look for my Project Arcade folder, which is just here. Highlight that, left click it once and press OK, go to next, and I'm going to create a desktop shortcut, so this is going to be easy accessible to get into. Press next and install. Now, because I've already installed this before, I've already installed everything which comes with this. So it's quite likely when you install this for the first time, you'll get lots of pop-ups and lots of additional windows popping up saying it's installing various different bits and pieces, but just let it run its course. Okay, while this is installing, what we're going to do is just grab some games. So I'm going to go over to my favourite website, which is itch.io, and I'm going to download a few different things. So first of all, I'm going to download, just for the setup guide, a couple of Commodore 64 games. So I'm randomly going to select Dig Dug just here for C64, download, and no thanks, just take me to the downloads, and I'm going to download this. Okay, so that's now downloaded. I'm also going to download a Nintendo NES game. So NES, and I'm just going to look for a free NES game. So we got this really awesome game just here, which I highly recommend. I can never pronounce this one, but it is a very good platformer. Downloads now, and no thanks, just take me to downloads and download this one. And finally, I'm going to download a Sega Mega Drive game. So if you're new to itch.io, it's pretty much a very good platform or a website for homebrew games, that type of thing. But we're just going to do this just for the setup guide, so you get the hang of things, where things are going to be going in terms of adding games. So we got this random Mega Drive game here I'm not too familiar with. Again, just take me to downloads, and we're going to download the demo of this. So we got 3 different games here for 3 different platforms, which we're going to set up for Project Arcade. Okay, so we've got our games just here ready on the desktop, and it says launch Project Arcade. So what I'm going to do is actually uncheck this and go to finish. And the reason I'm doing this is because the first time around I ran it, it displayed in a foreign language. So what I advise you to do before opening it, what we're going to do is right click on that Project Arcade shortcut it's created, go to open file location, and this is going to bring us to the Project Arcade directory. Now there's a file here, projectarcade.ini. If you double left click on this, it should open this up in a notepad. Now in the notepad section just here, or the projectarcade.ini, we're going to find language detection. It says language detection equals 0. Just backspace to 0 and put the digit 1 in place. All you need to do then is go to File, Save, and we can then open up Project Arcade in English. So if I just double left click the shortcut, okay, so we're now inside of Project Arcade, and as you've seen, I've just taken away the front end's music, and this is it. So this is Project Arcade, a very snazzy intro video or splash screen video, and we've got some games in here already. So if I was to go into PlayStation, I'm using my keyboards right now. I'm using my arrow keys, and I'm pressing X to go in, and I'm pressing Z or Z to come back out. We got PSP, we got a Ridge Racer 2 demo, and we got various different other things here. So we got MAME, we got a Pong game of some sort because there isn't many Pong clones around. We got MSX, Bomb and Blast, no idea what this one is, a 2015 homebrew game by the looks of it. We got Nintendo NES 8-bit, Blade Busters, so looks like a shoot 'em up. We also got Lutro just here, so I covered Lutro on Retrobat, and Lutro is pretty much hobby-made games, and it's pretty interesting, some of the games on there. We also got a port folder, so we got a Minecraft clone in here, we got a Bomberman clone, and we got Rick Dangerous X Rick, which is very cool. What else can we do with this? If I was to press backspace on my keyboard, and we're going to go through setting up a controller in a minute. Backspace on your controller, we got View User Manual. Let's take a look at this. If we press X, this is actually going to bring up Retrobat. For some reason, I'm not sure what this is. Like I say, I'm brand new to Project Arcade. If I press backspace again, we can launch screensaver. And backspace, and then we've obviously got our main restart system, suspend system, shutdown, and quit emulation station, which is going to be the option to turn off Project Arcade. If I go down to back, and if I press enter, we got main menu. So very similar to Retrobat, because both of these are literally based on the emulation station. So the setup is very similar. Now we got Kodi Media Center. I'm not going to go into that one. We got game settings. So quite literally the layout of everything here is very similar to Retrobat, if not virtually the same. We got controller settings here. So this is where I'm going to map out my controller. Controller settings, I'm going to press X to go in there. And I'm going to press X on controller mapping and OK. Now if I press down on one of my buttons on my Xbox controller, we can now map out the controller itself. So for south, I'm going to press A on my controller, and it literally tells you what to do here. And we're just going to keep going down. Now if you've got a controller and you don't have many buttons, then to bypass one of these options here to map, all you need to do is keep your finger pressed down on a button and that will skip. I'm going to show you that in a second. Okay, for example, if I wanted to skip right stick press, if I didn't have an extra button, all I'd need to do is literally keep my finger pressed down on a button and it will come up as not defined. It's that easy. Now, if you're new to this type of system, hotkey is the key you're going to press to exit a game. And if I then go to OK, and that's it. Now, as we can see, it also accepts Bluetooth controllers, which is pretty cool. If I press B now on my controller to come out, we got sound settings. Now we can enable front end music here. And if we come back, so you've got various mix era boot-in screens for various systems. We've just heard GameCube there, very cute stuff. So let's take a look at main menu again. If we next go down to updates and downloads, we're going to go to content downloader, press A on this. And just here, we can download a range of different demos. So various different things here, including some more obscure or lesser known talked about systems, such as the Amstrad CPC. We got my favourite C64, Dreamcast, and many others. Now, if we go to the media section, we can download some shaders just here. And I'm actually going to download Dumon's Mega Bezels. If I press A to download this one, and install by pressing A, we're going to see at the top right hand corner downloading. So it's going to download this, it's going to extract it. We're just going to wait for this, and while this is extracting and downloading, let's just go through the options. So we're going to go to themes, and just here we can download a range of themes. Now, AX Slide Mix, I've not seen this emulationstation theme before, so to download this, all I need to do is press A and A to install. And as you can see, now with my downloading at the top right hand side, it's going to say 1 of 2. So it's going to download Mega Bezels first, followed by the AX Slide Mix theme. We also got Carbon X, so again, I'm not too familiar with this theme. Dark Games version 2 looks pretty interesting. And so on. So we've also got the same type of themes as you would see in Retrobat. So if I come out by pressing B, I'm going to go to the Bezel project next. If I press A on this one, and here we go. So by installing the Bezel project packs, we got MAME, MSX, Nintendo NES, and Sony PlayStation. What this will allow us to do is use bezels rather decoration. So instead of having black sides of our games, we can use the Bezel project to make things look a bit more snazzy. If I come out, if you enjoy Project Arcade, if you go to update type, you can actually download and install the beta, which I don't really recommend because betas aren't exactly stable. That's why we got stable, and that's why we got beta. So my advice is, don't install beta unless you're a real nerd like I am most of the time. Then download beta to get the latest features, but be cautious with this. So anyways, Mega Bezels is done, and we've also got our theme installed. So from our updates and downloads, we're going to press B, and if I go to user interface settings, I'm going to go to theme set, and just here is the current theme set we got. So we got a few in here already. I'm going to apply the theme I just downloaded, Slide Mix. If I press A and press B to come out. Okay, so this has literally just crashed on me. So let's go back in the Project Arcade. Okay, so finally we're back in the Project Arcade, and this is the theme which I applied just a minute ago before it crashed on me. I'm not sure what that was about. So we can also change back to other themes. Obviously, if we press start button, go down to user interface settings, theme set, and let's try Project Arcade material. Press A and come out. Okay, so this seems to be a bit of an issue with this release of Project Arcade. Every time we apply a new theme, it crashes. So let's go back in. So admittedly, Project Arcade has got some very nice intro videos. Okay, so here we go. So what I'm actually going to do with this is user interface settings, and I'm going to put this to simple. And there we go, by applying simple it's not crashed. So no idea what that's about, but obviously Project Arcade is a work in progress, just like other front-end systems. So what we're going to do then now is just exit out, so press start main menu, and we're going to go down to quit. And quit emulation station, and yes. Okay, so we got our 3 games just here, and we're going to start installing these, or rather adding them. So we're going to go to Project Arcade shortcut, right click on it, open file location. Now we got a BIOS folder. Now for this setup guide, I'm not going to bother adding any BIOSes because I'm not going to be doing anything to do with PlayStation, Sega Saturn, Mega CD or any of those systems that requires them. But just like RetroBat, this is going to work the same. If you want to load up a PlayStation 1 game, then obviously your BIOS files are going to go inside of this folder. If I come out and go down to ROMs, here we go. This is everything that Project Arcade apparently supports. So I've obviously got my C64 game. If I go in that C64 folder, now because I'm not too sure yet of the file extensions that this takes, I've got my C64 game in .d64 file extension, so hopefully that's going to work. I've also got a Sega Mega Drive game, so within that Project Arcade ROMs folder, if I scroll down, I'm going to find either Genesis or Mega Drive. So it looks like Sega Genesis isn't here. So Mega Drive is going to be. So I'm going to just dump my Mega Drive demo into there. And this is in .bin. So again, I'm not sure if this is going to show, because I'm not sure what Project Arcade has got. Not sure which course it comes with in terms of RetroArch. And finally, we got our Nintendo NES game to add. So again, in the ROMs folder, I'm going to just look for NES. Here's NES, and here's my game. So it obviously accepts .zip file extension, and my NES game I've just downloaded from itch.io is actually in .zip. So I'm going to drag that in there. Now this time round, when we open up Project Arcade, we should see those new games appear. Okay, so we're back in the Project Arcade. We got Mega Drive just here. If I go into this folder, press A, here's the game. Now, if I press select on my controller, this is going to bring up view options. If I go down to advanced system options, press A, emulator is going to be at the top. And this is what we've got here to play Mega Drive games, for example. The top 4 just here, it says the retro. This is your RetroArch course. And just below it, we got Mendefen, Ares and Kega Fusion. I'm going to just open up this game using Auto, which is going to select Genesis plus GX. And then we got various video settings here. What I'm going to do is actually open up the game first, so press A. Okay, if I press my hotkey, this is going to bring us into RetroArch, and I can actually exit my Mega Drive game using this menu. If I press B, and then just go down to quit and press A. Here we go then, so that game looks quite fun. Obviously, a bit of a rip-off of Commando, the old-school arcade shooter, but yeah, it looks pretty good, so I recommend that one. So download that from itch.io if you like. Now, if I come out, what I'm going to do is attempt to scrape some artwork for this. So press start to go to main menu, down to scraper, scrape from, we got screen scraper, games database, HFS database and arcade database. Trust me, Screen Scraper is likely the best out of these. We're going to go down to Scraper Settings, Image Source, I'm going to switch to Box 3D. And we're going to just scroll down and enable fan art. I'm also going to enable box backside. Now, if you're not aware of Screen Scraper, it's a free website. Go and register. Once you've registered, you can then put in your username and password. Okay, so you can either do that with your keyboard or you can do it using your controller. If we go to back, and what we're going to do, systems included, is going to list all of those systems which we've currently got in Project Arcade. So I'm going to just scrape everything. If I go to back and then go down one to scrape now, press A. Now at the top right hand side we can see scraping, currently on 4 out of 14, so this is scraping our artwork now. So we're just going to leave that a second. And once that's finished, what we're going to do is update game list to apply changes. So from the main menu, just drop down to game settings, press A on update game list and A on really update game list. So if I go into my Mega Drive folder, we've now got cover art. And again, if I go over into my Commodore folder, we've also got a preview video and artwork for that Dig Dug game. We also put a Nintendo NES game in the NES folder, so we don't actually have any artwork for that, and that's fine because it's spelled a bit odd and maybe Screen Scraper database don't understand that, but it doesn't matter. So what we're going to do next then is actually open up a C64 game. So again, if you press select on your controller, view options, advanced system options, emulator, we've just got 3 different RetroArch cores for this. So I'm going to leave that to auto. If we go to shader set, we downloaded Dumon's Mega Bezels just a minute ago. If we scroll down, we say what I'm going to do is apply one of these. So I'm going to use Mega Bezel Advanced. Under decorations, when I boot this up, it's going to have a Commodore 64 Model 1 or bread bin decoration on the side. What I'm going to do is put this to none. I'm going to go to game aspect ratio and make sure this is on auto, which is going to be 4:3. If I go down to visual rendering, we got various different options here to enhance how the game looks. Under drivers just here, we got video. Now, if you find your games don't boot, you get a black screen, you're literally going to go to video and then swap it over to something like Vulkan or a DirectX version. Now, what I'm doing just here is pretty much going to be the same for every system in Project Arcade. If we go to emulation, for particular systems like Commodore 64, we got model type, so we can actually emulate various different C64 models, including Japanese models. I'm going to leave everything to auto for this. If I open up my game, and here we go then. So we got the Mega Bezel in place, and it's giving us an old school CRT look. Now if I just come out of here for now, so I'm going to access that quick menu, RetroArch again, and go to quit. And what I'm going to do is actually go back to advanced system options. So now we know what that bezel looks like, that Mega Bezel. If I go to game decorations or just decorations, I'm going to put default unglaze back on and open up the game again. Okay, so we now got that really awesome bread bin, and we've also got the CRT look, so best of both worlds. Now, if you're planning on using systems such as Commodore 64, a lot of people get a little bit confused. Keyboard doesn't work. If you actually press select on your controller, this is going to bring up a virtual keyboard, which has got keys which modern day keyboards wouldn't have, such as the Commodore key and run stop. So that's how you do it. And from your virtual keyboard, you can also swap over joystick ports. So joystick port 2 for most C64 games is the one to go for. So if you find your game isn't working, then just go to Joy P. Now with RetroArch cores, if you press spacebar on your keyboard, you can actually fast forward. Top right hand side, you'll see a fast forward button there. So, appalling gameplay, and I'll be honest with you, I played a lot of classic arcade games from the golden age, but I'm not too familiar with Dig Dug, believe it or not. So, finally, we've got Nintendo NES here. So, what I'm going to do is go to the Nintendo NES folder, and again, just like the other two systems, if we press select on view options, advanced system options, all of the layout is the same for each system, as you can see. So, emulator, we're going to have a few RetroArch cores, and we also got different emulators here we can download, which I'm not going to do. We're going to make this simple auto, and we can also go to shader set for this and apply mega bezel. So I just applied advanced mega bezel for C64. I'm going to use something different this time. Go to standard decorations. I'm going to make sure NES default unglazed is on for this one, and let's just go into the game. So now, if you find that your hotkey isn't working, you can press escape on your keyboard, and that's going to bring you back into Project Arcade. Let me just end this by just going into Advanced System Options again. And if I go to Decorations, we got lots of different decorations here we can actually use. If I was to select Arcade 1980s, and what we need to do to apply some of these is make sure the game aspect ratio is going to fit. If I go back into decorations, we're going to find Arcade 1980s vertical, or even the next one down, the screen is actually different sizes, so you need to make sure to get full picture that your game aspect ratio matches it. In most cases 4:3 is fine, but there's particular decorations that won't fit, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go to Arcade 1980s, and we're going to check that one out and open up Blade Buster. And that's it for today's Project Arcade 1.6.0 setup guide for Windows PC. So it's a fairly good front end, and as you've seen throughout the video, when I was applying new themes it did crash. And if you do decide to use Project Arcade, just remember to go into that .ini file, open it up with Notepad, and make sure language is unchecked at 0. Just mark it is the digit 1, and that's going to bring it into English. Anyways, if this video was popular enough, I'm happy to do more setup guides around Project Arcade. So if you want more of this, do let us know in the comments. Anyways, if you liked today's video, hit notifications, subscribe and like so you don't miss our upcoming retro emulation content. Also join me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and TikTok. But until next time, stay retro.